Hi YouTube, this is Mason back here again with another video. Today I'll be reviewing the Hamilton Khaki automatic, which is on my wrist actually right now as we speak. Yeah, so before we get started, I'd just like to say sorry for my little short break from YouTube, but I've been thinking about how best to do my videos and what kind of video style I really want, and I think this works the best for me. I still got the same shirt on, as you can see, not obviously worn every day since my last video. I just like this shirt and I decided to wear it for a video, and then I think this is my video shirt now, my video outfit. So yeah, let's get started with this review here. So this is the Hamilton Khaki, 38 millimeters. Yep, as you can see, it has a date complication. It's a three-hander. It's automatic. It runs on the H10 movement. So to those of you that don't know what that means, it's an ETA movement. It's a ETA or ETA 2824 movement, but it has been downgraded from 28,000. Was it from 28,800 vibrations per hour to 21,600, I think it is, vibrations per hour. So the seconds hand, what that means is the seconds hand isn't as smooth. You might be able to see that. I think it brought it down from 8 to only 6 vibrations, 6 ticks per second. The normal quartz watch being 1 tick per second. So they lowered the vibrations per hour, and what that did was allowed the movement to have a power reserve. The power reserve went up from around 42 hours to 80 hours. So that means you can take this watch off on Friday and put it back on Monday, and it will still be keeping time if it was fully wound when you took it off. And speaking of winding, there is manual winding with this watch. A common problem, from what I have researched, is that the ETA 2824, the reversing wheels can actually stick, which means when you go to wind the watch, the rotor will spin like crazy, kind of like a helicopter. And actually that had happened to my watch. So I was actually going to replace the reversing wheels myself, because it's a part that's not too hard to get at. You just take the rotor off, and the wheels are underneath. I was going to do it, and then I realized that it would be hard to get the parts. ETA was actually going to cut off supply of those parts, of their movement parts, so that they can only be serviced or only be found within the Swatch family. So I realized it would be hard to get the parts, and it was a lot of effort and time that I didn't feel like diving into just yet. So I had it done. But now I can wind my watch and the rotor doesn't spin wildly when I do so. So it does have hand winding. It has hacking, which means that when you pull the crown out, the seconds stop, which is great, so you can kind of synchronize it. Other features I mentioned, it's 38 millimeters without the crown, so it wears very nicely on my wrist. It has a solid, obviously at this, with the Hamilton, you'll get solid length bracelet there. It does only have 2 micro adjustments here. Otherwise, it's a standard push button, double deployant, and it just snaps and unlocks. The dial has a really nice radiated sort of finish to it. The inside where the military time is, the 24-hour time is displayed, has a nice black texture, and then the ring where the hour, where the numbers are, the Arabic numbers 1 through 12 are, that is kind of gray, and then the minute track around the very outside is a slightly different color than everything else. So It appears just black from further away especially, but as you get closer you see it really has a nice The dial is nicely done, and it's very easy to read. And luckily, the loom is really pretty awesome. Sorry for that. Sorry about that. The numbers are loomed, as well as obviously the hands and the pips around at each marker, our marker, are loomed as well. The crown has nice knurling there. It's machined, and then it's signed with the Hamilton H. I'll try to get it. There you go. And then, so the case. I'll talk about the bezel first. The bezel is very highly polished, so it will scratch rather easily, but that's not something you can really avoid on any watch, regardless. But it's a nice feature. I like the polishing of the bezel. If you really wanted to, if it gets scratched up, you could take a Cape Cod cloth or something and cover the crystal first so you don't scratch it, and then polish scratches out. And then we have brushed surfaces. They're still shiny, but it's a brushed surface here, and here you can see the lug, the design of the lugs. It's kind of shaped very nicely to fit on your wrist. Off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure how thick the case is, but in my personal opinion is that it's not too thick. It wears very nicely on the wrist. I'll put it on obviously for you in just a little bit. The bracelet, we'll talk about the bracelet now. The bracelet is actually very nice. It's really comfortable. Each link is each link of the bracelet has 4 separate parts to it. So 2 on the outside there, and then the inside link, you'd think it's only 1, but if you look really closely, it's actually 2, and they're all separate pieces. And it does have solid, nicely fitted end links there. It's a very nice bracelet. Obviously, it has a screw down case back with an exhibition sapphire crystal exhibition case back there, and you can see the nicely engraved Hamilton rotor. It's a 25 jewel Hamilton H10 movement, which is just the modified ETA 2824. So a very nice job they did there. Also, the clasp is signed Hamilton right there. There's, it says stainless steel. What else? Yeah, it has the serial or model number, I believe, there, and then it says stainless steel. And there's some inscription. There's some engraving on the case back that it's water resistant. It's water resistant to 100 meters or 10 bar. Obviously Swiss made, and then the model number is there. So on the bracelet, it looks like on this piece right here in the bracelet, it's telling you what the model number of the bracelet is. There's just split pins inside the links. There's no screw-in links, which I wouldn't expect that anyway. It's a dress watch, but it is water resistant to 100 meters. So the Hamilton Khaki is more for someone who I guess wants to play a little bit dirty, but it still obviously looks dressy. So it sort of has a Seiko 5 look to it, but it looks much nicer, and it's definitely a much better watch than that. But I might put a link to the Seiko 5 just so you can see. But in my opinion, there's really no comparison. The Hamilton has hand winding, hacking, 80-hour power reserve, Swiss made. I'm not one to follow the Swiss made fan train, sort of, I guess you could say. I don't believe that just because something is Swiss made means it's automatically better than something that's made in Japan or made in Germany or made anywhere else. I think that a good watch is a good watch regardless of where it comes from. Here, let me try on the Hamilton now so you can see what it's like. I have a 7.5-inch wrist for your purposes. So there it is on my wrist. Not too thick. It fits rather nicely. Only 2 micro adjustments. That's one of the things I would say I don't like about this watch. If we're being objective here, I don't like that there's only 2 micro adjustments. I wish there was like 3 maybe or 4. But overall, it's not a deal breaker. There's no half lengths either, so it's only full lengths with the 2 micro adjustments that you get. And there it is. Okay, I see I'm wearing it sort of snug. I could pull it in another micro adjustment, but I think from what I remember, I've tried it in multiple configurations, and I think this is the best setup. But there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. So the one thing I didn't go over yet is the loom. So let me, okay, I can do it, yeah. Just hold on one second. Okay, I am back, and it's almost completely dark in here. I have my little keychain. Okay, so already the loom is going. So you can sort of see it. It's much more visible, obviously, in person, and I can read all the numbers and see each loom pip at this point. But I'm just going to blast it. I'll turn off the ambient light here, and I will blast it with my keychain flashlight. Alright, there we go. Look at this. That's awesome. It's not gonna last as long as I'd like, at least, but it's very visible, and it's really simple, and I like it a lot. The only thing I think that could be better is if the second hand were loomed. But there we go. Let me flip the lights back on. There we go. So folks, that's the Hamilton Khaki automatic field watch. It's definitely dressy, but you could wear it with a t-shirt and jeans for sure. And so one other important thing I'll mention is there are a lot of fakes out there on eBay. So some things to look for are the detail of the dial. The dial will not be as highly detailed, and it won't look perfect like with real khaki. And also, there's two different variations of khaki. There's the one with the H10 movement, with the 80 hours of power reserve, and then there's a normal one with just a regular old 2024 in there. So the one with the H10 movement will have that Hamilton semi-skeletonized rotor with the H engraved on it, and the Hamilton. And on a fake, it will not look like that, number one, and the movement won't look decorated like it is here. You have to be careful because fakers are getting better and better at doing what they do, faking watches, but study pictures, it won't look as clean as this does, and the machining is not nearly anywhere close to this. So just a few things to watch out for if you're thinking about getting yours used from eBay. I picked mine up for $250. So with the cost of the reversing wheels to have that repaired, it was about $3.25. And the cheapest I've seen on eBay is $350. So I actually got this from a friend on Facebook. Well, I consider him a friend. Actually, Scott from @Beaters and Grails. I don't think I mentioned him in the last video I did because the actual last video I tried to do, it's not letting me upload for some reason. I'm having a bit of an issue with that. I use iMovie to edit my videos to make sure they all go smoothly and add music and whatever, text and everything like that. And it didn't let me import my video file into iMovie. And I've tried to convert it, I've tried a bunch of things. I think it's lost at this point. But Scott from @Beaters and Grails is who gave me this watch. So thanks to him, I bought it off of him, and I'm really enjoying it. So and I really like that I can now hand wind it again without the rotor spinning like this. But that's no fault of his. It's a fairly common issue for an automatic movement like this. I've heard some things. Quick side note: I've heard some things from people about not hand winding an automatic watch if it has hand winding. And my opinion on that is, why would they build hand winding into an automatic watch if it wasn't meant to be hand wound? So I think the latest thing I've heard is to hand wind it fully once every month or so, and otherwise just wear it and let it wind via the rotor, like an automatic watch should. And I've heard others say in the past that if you want manual winding, get a manual wind watch that is not automatic, because they're built for it. And something that I have heard that does make sense is that the manual wind features in an automatic watch are built much more delicately than the gears and everything that are made for a manual wind watch. So I've heard that, you know, winding a manual wind watch is obviously, that's what it's designed for, but winding an automatic watch isn't recommended because the gears and the wheels, the reversing wheels and everything like that aren't meant to take a lot of wear and tear. So I've heard hand wind as little as possible. I've heard hand wind once a month. I've heard a bunch of stuff. So I'm just going to keep doing what I do, which is when I don't wear it, I hand wind. I've been doing that to my Seiko Mohawk ever since I got it. I've only let it stop a few times because I don't like setting it. So it's up to you. But there's a couple different sources out there that all say different things. So thanks for watching. This was the review of the Hamilton Khaki Automatic. I'll see you guys next time. Side note, last thing. You might notice that I'm wearing a Fitbit. This is the Alta HR. I picked it up at Walmart, I believe it was, for 75 bucks on clearance, which was, I think, a steal. And I actually have disabled the time on here. I only have my steps, you know, heart rate, battery, minutes, the distance, how many calories I burn, my next alarm, and that's it. I disabled the time on there so I don't get in the habit of looking here. I look on my wrist to see my watch, and I didn't think that was going to be an issue anyway, but I just disabled it just in case. So you might think it looks a little bit weird, but I've got basically a smartwatch because I've got a watch on my left and the smart on my right. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.